Well, thank you very much, and I know why you're here. It's not to listen to me. It's because you want to take the tour of Javis, and this is what we have to do to get an audience, but it's okay. Javis is a great partner at Shelby Township. I still remember in 2008 when you came before our board and you talked about all these things that might happen. Well, everything you said and more has happened. So we really appreciate you and your you've got 3,000, 4,000 employees now, and it's incredible. This was the first location right here in Shelby Township, and that's since 2008. So nice job. Thank you very much. Well, you know, Easter is coming up next weekend, which makes me happy because I get to see my grandkids on Friday and Saturday. And, you know, it's funny because it seems like these kids, they change every time I see them. Little Sam's 7 years old now, and, you know, he's already beaten me at chess, but he doesn't let me do my Cookie Monster impersonation anymore. He says that's for little kids. But Kate is only 5 years old, and she loves it. And I tell her stories, and she listens to everything, and I love telling her story. But one story I love telling her, and I've only done it once, and I don't think I'll do it again, and I'll tell you why. But I've given her the Shelby Township version of the Three Little Pigs. Now, it's about 15 minutes. I'm not going to give you a 15-minute story here, but I think I can do this in a couple. But what I told her is the first little pig built his house out of bricks. And he didn't build the whole house at one time because he wanted to pay for everything with cash. He didn't want to borrow. He didn't want to do any of that. He wanted to pay cash. So after 6 years and after 6 phases, he actually had his house paid for, and he didn't owe anybody anything. Now, the second little pig, he built his house out of sticks. Now, ordinarily in a story, you know, sticks is not good, but in this little town of Pigglyville, it was okay because they had a full-service fire department. And if there was a fire, the fire department would be there within a minute and put the fire out. So you can see where this story is going. Now, the third little pig built his house out of straw, and that was not a bad deal either because of the full-service fire department. But here's what happened. The second little pig had borrowed a lot of money, and he had some heavy debt, and he couldn't do a whole lot. He just overextended himself when he built this big house. But the third little pig, he really overextended himself. Not only was he a big spender, but he also borrowed and borrowed and borrowed. He owed everybody money to the point where the big bad wolf showed up one day and foreclosed on him. Now, I know the story, you know one story, but in this story, the big bad wolf was okay because they had a police chief in that town, a pig police chief, who believed in law and order. And all the animals around, they left the pigs alone. It was not a problem because they knew if they came into town and misbehaved, they were going to go to jail. So anyway, and I just want you to know, this had a really happy ending because pig number 2, just so you know, got himself out of debt. And he actually adhered to the very simple principle from pig number 1. He grabbed onto the very simple idea of paying cash, or not paying cash, but taking a very simple idea and also taking it very, very seriously, which was paying cash. And that's what pig number 2 did. And the happy ending is that pig number 1 and 2 were happy. Now, pig number 3, unfortunately, had to live in the basement of pig number 1 and 2, and it was a financial drain on both of them to the community, but that's another story. But anyway, everybody ended up, and they, for the most part, went on happily ever after. So it's funny because after I told that story, not even an hour had gone by, and my son Carl came up to me and said, "Dad, what's going on here? Kate's telling me about the big bad wolf foreclosing on pig number 3. You can't do that." And I said, "Well, okay, I won't do that." "Dad, just so you know, last time you were here, she went to school the next day and told her kindergarten teacher that pig number 1 was a Republican." I said, "Okay." So when I go back on Saturday, here's what I'm going to do. Sam, Kate, and I are going to play the Shelby Township Opley game. And I'm going to tell Carl if he has any problem with this, he can call Milton Bradley and direct all his complaints to them. So anyway, no, when it comes to Shelby Township, I'm all in. And the reason is because we have a great story to tell. Now, I can stand up here and tell you how great Shelby Township is, but I'm not going to do that. And the reason I'm not going to is because I don't have to. Other people on the outside do that for us. And I know I've talked about this before, but there's an organization out there called niche.com, NICHE.com. They rate every township in every city in the United States of America. So whatever community you live in, all you really need to do is go to niche.com and find out how your community rates. And they've been in business now for 6 years, 6 straight years. And I'm happy to say that for the 6th straight year, Shelby Township, and I got the whole report right here, has been rated the #1 community to live in all of Macomb County. And we are really proud of that, because with all the work that our 325 employees do full-time, and our 125 part-time employees, and our 10 or 11 department heads, and our board of trustees, with everything they do, this is a rating we get, and I am so proud of them. Overall, our grade is A-, and this includes public schools, housing, good for families, crime and safety, nightlife, and diversity. We get A's in all categories. Thank you. Thank you. No, thank all of you. And Jason, you're part of this too. I mean, you're part of the community, and the businesses do a really good job. It's all one team. You know, I think Jason pointed this out. Not one of us can do much, but as Jason said, together, the businesses, Shelby Township, our government, and the residents, we're in this together. And we do have a great story to tell as a result of that. So what do I want to talk about here? I know you want to take the tour, and I'll try to be as quick as I can, but I like to cover 3 categories, because I always like to say, if we're not doing something under these subheadings, then we're not doing the right thing. Finances. Got to have strong finances, and I believe we do. The second thing is we need public safety. If you don't have public safety, you don't have much of a community. And finally, quality of life initiatives. You know, you can talk about finances all the time, and we do. We spend a lot of time. But if you don't have all 3, then that's what it is. And the good news here is I'm not going to tell the whole story of Shelby Township. I've got some help of some people coming. But let me just talk a little bit about finances. You know, when our board, 2008 was a pretty big year for us here in Shelby Township. 3 new trustees had come in. I was a supervisor. I came in as a supervisor, and we had 2 new trustees. And what we did, because we had to, we looked at everything. We measured everything to the nth degree. Now, I thought we were actually $60 million in debt. No, it was worse than that. Now, before I tell you how much, our whole budget for the year in 2008 was $50 million. Well, guess how much we were in debt? $130 million. And that was pension and all other post benefits. 96% of that $131 million was benefits and pension. Wow. How do you dig a hole out of that? So I'll tell you what I did. When I found that out, I went home and I looked at our national debt. Now, when you look at $130 million and $50 million in debt, that means we're spending 260% more than our budget. Our national debt at that time was $10 trillion, and we were spending, our budget was $2.9 trillion, which means we were spending 345% of our budget. Now, I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that we weren't as bad as the national debt, even though they were 345% and we were only 260%. That's nothing to write home about. But it shows you the challenges we had financially. So our strategy was the same as pig number 1. Keep it simple and be very, very serious about what you're going to do. And we were. And that is pay cash. You pay cash for everything, and if you can't afford it, like pig number 1, you do it in 6 phases, you do it in 8 phases. And that's what we did. Took a lot of discipline, and I'm not going to stand up here and take the credit. I'm going to give all the credit to the Board of Trustees and to the department heads, because as you know, we have a right side up triangle. The Board of Trustees is at the very bottom, and I'm at the point. I'm right like near the sewer. And somewhere in the middle of this upside down triangle are the department heads. And I'll tell you why they're so important. because when the performers at the top of the triangle, of the right side up triangle, when they need something, we don't talk to them. The department heads tell us what they need. So we rely on the department heads, and they're the ones that turned this organization right side up. And today I'm happy to report, we're not quite there yet, but this paying cash only, it's not gonna last forever, because when we get to zero, and I won't be on a board at that point in 2030, I don't think, but if 2030 comes in, it will be zero. In 2030, I guarantee you that this township will not owe a penny to anyone. And you might ask, okay, what does this mean? It means that they can sit down with a clean sheet of paper and do what they want with all the tax money. That's what this is about, giving them the freedom of doing that. And that's what we're going to do. So, yes, our national debt went up, and Shelby Township now is at 47% of their budget, which means that out of that $131 million, we are now $31 million in debt. We have cut $100 million since 2008 off the debt. And I know what some of you are thinking. Thank you, department heads, and thank you 450 employees that have gotten this done. But I know what some of you are thinking, probably the same thing I'm thinking. Boy, what could we have done with $100 million? But while we're paying his debt off, the Board of Trustees, because this is a team effort, they have figured out a way, we have figured out a way together, how to maintain the roads, how to maintain our quality of our quality of life initiatives, and somehow, some way, maintain the finances of having 25% of that cash put away. And today, we actually have 40% cash put away because we don't like the headwinds that we're looking at right now. And by the way, 40% is a lot of money. Our budget's about $70 million. But if even we needed more than 40%, we've got other buttons we can push and levers we can pull. We're in good shape. If you're from Shelby Township and you're worried about the economy, I don't want you to worry about Shelby Township. We're going to make it through, and we are prepared for whatever comes our way. And so the big headline here is by 2030, no debt. And ladies and gentlemen, that's really a story of the Three Little Pigs, the Shelby Township version. So that's it. But anyway, and I never told Kate that pig number one is a Republican. I don't know where she got that, but it was not from me. Anyway, so our millage has not gone up. During this whole time since 2008, our millage has not gone up. As I said, we have about 325 full-time employees, 125 part-time, and 10 department heads. Now, what has increased is our population. In 2008, we had 65,000. In 2023, about 85,000, and Stan, where are you? It's, I guess, 86, 87, we'll just call it 85. So we've had a 31% increase in population served, but no tax increase as far as the rates are concerned. It was 9.299 in 2008. It remains to be 9.299 here in 2024. So we serve more people, more facilities, more programs, more services, with actually fewer employees. Joe Youngblood is here. He can tell you all about that. And I'm not going to explain how he did it, but he did do it. He had 27 employees in 2008. Now, he's got 200 more acres of parks. We've got 1,500 acres of parks. He maintains them just beautifully. He's got a lot more activities. He's got another beautiful activity center he maintains. Never even had that in 2008. And somehow, some way, he gets away doing that with 23 employees because he's figured out how to do it faster and better. And he doesn't come in our offices with all these charts. He just does it. So as these people were retiring, that's what he did. And that's one of the big success stories in Shelby Township. Thank you, Joe. And I forgot what year it was, but you know, when he went to Central, he beat the Michigan State football team. What year was that, Joe? Yeah, way to go, Joe. Okay, so we expected big things from him. Yeah, and he's delivered. So I think this all showcases our commitment to maintaining our status as the lowest cost, full service community, okay? Now, the question becomes, what does it mean to be a full-service township? Well, it starts with public safety and Shelby Township Fire and Police Departments. We maintain full, dedicated professional police and fire protection for all 85,000 residents, spread over about 36 square miles. Full-time fire service means about 80 full-time professional firefighter medics, and these people are ready to serve our residents 24/7, 365 days a year. And it's none of this part-time stuff where you hit the snooze alarm, decide not to come into work. No, we've got 5 fire stations. They are there, and when that phone call comes in, they are at the site within minutes. And here now is Fire Chief Pierce. He's going to tell us more about what full service means in terms of being the best prepared to save lives. Franklin Pierce.
Good morning. Once again, my name is Frank Pierce. I'm the fire chief in Shelby Township. I've been with the department for over 27 years, and I was asked, what does it mean to be a full-service fire department? As a full-service fire department, the Shelby Township Fire trains for an all-hazards emergency response. And the definition of that is an integrated approach to emergency preparedness planning that focuses on capacities and capabilities that are critical to the preparedness for a full spectrum of emergencies or disasters. So essentially what that means is if the police department is unable to handle it or public works can't handle it, they call us and we try to figure it out. We have 75 people, 25 per shift, firefighter paramedics that are on duty, as Mr. Stethka said, every day, 24/7, all the holidays, ready to go out at a moment's notice. We have eight ALS ambulance, advanced life support ambulances that can start IVs and perform a lot of the work in the field. Everything's changed so much in recent years where you'd hurry up and scoop up a patient, take them to the hospital. We do a lot of treatment in the house now where we have all the meds and devices that allow us to do that. We also have 6 fire engines. Of those 6, 2 are advanced life support, so if they're not there, an ambulance is on another call, that engine can start the work. And a lot of people ask, well, why does an engine always follow the ambulance? It's for staffing, manpower, to put more people on the scene. You don't want to wait. If you have one of those patients where you got to get them out and go, you have all the people there and you're not waiting. Other communities will have maybe ambulances staffed in a parking lot here, parking lot there, and they'll be pulled into other communities. Ours are dedicated here. Sometimes we have to do mutual aid to other communities, but our ambulances are here and we're not waiting, and they're professional firefighters. It's not a young kid that just got his license. We have people that have years of experience there that are ready to take care of you. To go along with that, we also have an administrative staff that their sole job is to make sure those firefighters can do whatever they do every day. Last year we had over 22,000 hours of training. That equates to 273 hours per member, and 93 classes were put on, and those have to be given 3 times for the 3 different shifts that we have. Just this past week we had a brain surgeon from one of the local hospitals out teaching us the latest techniques for stroke intervention, which we're going to be having a symposium in May to go along with that. We also have 2 ladder trucks to reach, as you can see, these buildings are getting bigger and bigger, and a rescue truck. We also have many different specialties that we handle. We've got a hazmat team. The hazmat team, all hazardous materials. We have a department team, and we have members on the county. We have a technical rescue team for if there's a collapse, rope rescue, any of those very intricate things. We house a lot of that equipment here. Trench rescue with all the construction going on. That equipment's here in Shelby, ready to go. We also have a dive team for all the lakes and ponds that we have in the township. We also have swiftwater rescue for the Clinton River. We pick probably half a dozen people off that river when they get lost throughout the year. We also have a TRUE team. The TRUE team is a tactical response unit, hopefully I got that right, that supports our police officers when they go out and do the warrant checks. There's nothing more important to us than making sure that our police officers are protected by our paramedics. It's incredibly important to us. We've also trained in Rescue Task Force. With the way the world's coming to now, every one of our members are trained to go in for an active killer situation and start rescuing people. Last team that we recently developed is peer support. Peer support team is excuse me. Mental health is a big thing today with a lot of the firefighters. I know everyone comes up and they always want to ask that question to a firefighter or a police officer. What's the worst thing you've ever seen? Things start going through your mind. A lot of people have seen a lot of things, so we have, with the incredible support of the township, we're able to take care of our members, their mental health, get them the help that they need, because across the country, first responders, military, police officers are committing suicide at a rate that is ridiculous because of what they've seen. And for years and years was a stigma of get over it. Now we're making sure that we're taking care of it. So that's huge. And we also have what I would say is probably the leader in Macomb County, if not the state, in our fire prevention division. Everyone saw what happened in Clinton Township a couple of weeks ago. Very unfortunate. They had the storage of the nitrous oxide and butane. 2 weeks prior to that, one of our inspectors was out and doing an annual inspection, found over 260,000 plus of the little nitrous oxide, sometimes they call them whippets, little canisters, and butane. They had to remove them all from the basement. That's what stops it. Fire prevention goes out there to make sure all the buildings are safe, and a little secret with that is they're there to make sure the firefighters are safe. Everyone's running out of the building where our firefighters are going in, and we want them to have the best possible outcome. So making sure that the aisles are clear and that type of thing. People don't think about that. It's to protect the firefighters, definitely the public, but we're going in to try and save and rescue people, so that's why they're out there making sure everything is safe. Another part of Shelby Township being a full-service fire department, we have our own police department. When we need help, they're there. There's not one or two cars staged around different communities. Our police officers are there for us. We also have our own dispatch. It's incredibly comforting knowing that that other person on the other end, they know the community, where other communities unfortunately there's several jurisdictions under one dispatch. Ours know Shelby, they know where we're going, they know what we're doing, we let them think, and it's the greatest comfort that we can have, knowing that they're there for us. The other thing with full service is we work with the other departments. We have many new hires and HR working with them, trying to get and attract, along with community relations, building department, DPW, everything. I mean, we work with the library. We want to get out and talk with the kids. It's just an incredible thing. You need something, the other departments are there for you, and we're there for them. Last thing is we've started a new initiative this year. It's a program called Community Connect. You log in if you have a family member in Shelby Township, and let's say you have a dog in your house that you want us to know about. You have a member that isn't able to get out by themselves, where they're located, what it is, where your shutoffs are. You log in. It's bank encrypted information. We're the only ones that have it, and you can as we're responding to the scene, we can look. An icon will pop up, so we'll know where everything is. But I cannot thank you enough for these few minutes of your time, and I'm incredibly proud to be here. Thank you.
Similarly, though, our police department has seen much growth and many changes with our community since 2008 as well. Particularly, though, since our current Chief Shalide was sworn in 2015. Wow, he's just turned that department completely around. And, well, I'm going to let him tell the story.
Thank you. Good morning. Can I have as much time as the fire chief? No. We have extremely hardworking officers. One in particular is out there every day keeping our community safe. And for whatever, he's a big kid, 6'4", and for whatever reason, all these little guys try to challenge him. and regularly he has to put them down. And this is going on and on and on. And also the kid's writing 10, 15 tickets, blah, blah, blah. So he comes to me one day and he says he'd like to, he asked me if I'd buy him a fancy police car. He wanted like this $70,000, $75,000 vehicle, and our regular vehicles are about $50,000. So I thought to myself, yeah, why wouldn't I? I want to give this guy what he needs to do his job, and if this is going to make him feel good to spend an extra 20 grand, we're going to do it. So I called Supervisor Stathakis over to my office, closed the door, and I said, listen, I'd like permission to purchase a vehicle for this officer. And he said, well, tell me about the officer. And I told him. And he looked at me, and you know what he said? He pointed at me, and I don't know if he was like taking a shot at me or not, but he said, you're running your police department like it's a private business. Okay? And I thought to myself, if he only knew, I run my police department like it's my own family business. And I've been doing that for the last 10 years. And it all starts with the support of the Board of Trustees. And then eventually, I come from Southfield Police Department. In 2018, I was the president of the Chiefs Association for all of Southeast Michigan. So I know all of these guys around, all the different chiefs. And they're all stuck with the same system where their number 2 and number 3 people around them get picked by an outside company. So I saw several of the business owners come up here and sponsors talking about their businesses. Just imagine if you couldn't pick your number 2 or your number 3 and a company's going to come and choose. These guys are here 20, 25 years, but you're going to let a company pick? So the system doesn't work. Maybe if you get lucky once in a while it does, but through my own experience, I can tell you it does not work. So through help of our director, HR director, Lisa Suda, now and for several years, I pick my number 2 and my number 3, okay? Deputy Chief Jason Schmittler, Captain Patrick Barnard, and then also with us is Lieutenant Brandon Dowdy. That's my top staff. And the people that live in Shelby Township and the business owners sleep easy at night knowing these men are on guard. Let me tell you, these are some of the finest men I've ever known in my life. Forget the police side. These are good quality men. They watch every single thing that goes on at that department. They keep everybody doing what they're doing. And every once in a while we'll have a headache and like, you know, I can't believe we're dealing with this, blah, blah. And I tell them if men were angels, we wouldn't be needed. So just, thankful. So anyhow, I want to tell you specifically about 3 major incidences that our police department has had in the last few months. And this is like crazy what's going on. So a gang of violent criminals, and I'm telling you, these are bad guys. They're all convicted attempt murder, one of them had, kidnapping, violent armed robberies. So they got information that there's somebody up here that had a ton of money. Okay, a lot of money, and they decided they're going to come up here and rob him. So they came up with 9 people. They had their women with them, stayed in a hotel room. I think it was in Roseville or Warren, and they had a brilliant plan. They knew where the money was, and some of the people in here, if you knew how much money this guy, you would consider robbing him. That's how much money this guy had. Okay, that's a joke, by the way. So anyhow, everything was brilliant until they stepped into Shelby Township. And that's where they tried to grab the guy at our Lifetime Fitness. And one thing led to another. Our officers got involved immediately. It was an incredible response. And let me tell you, knowing this business for 38 years now that I've been in it, there's no department around that would have done what our officers did. So for starters, we executed 70 search warrants. I was a detective for 14 years. I didn't do 70 in my entire 14 years. This one case, 70 search warrants, 1,800 pieces of electronic evidence, 600 photos, and 160 different pieces of hard evidence. We were able to round this gang up. We sent our detectives down to Florida several times, and they executed search warrants where they were able to arrest 5 of the 6 at the same time. Jay, can you grab me a glass of water? My mouth is getting dry. Able to grab 5 of these 6 guys. We've extradited them. They're all back here, and they're going to be going through the process. So I wanted the case to go federally. This is a huge tax on our department, a huge tax on our overtime budget. And I asked our lieutenant, I said, look, why wouldn't the feds do this? This is an interstate crime. This has got the feds written all over them. And they said, yeah, we'll take it, but it's going to be several years before we even get to it. It's ridiculous. So bottom line is we took it, and our guys did an incredible job. So But I warned them at the end. I said, look, no matter where you're from, if you guys, thank you so much. If you read the Macomb Daily, you'll see I warned them, no matter where you're from, you come into Shelby Township, we're going to track you down. So I think it was about 2 weeks ago, on a Thursday, our Bank of America, 23 in Shaner, some guy walked in and robbed the bank at 23 in Shaner. Folks, let me tell you, nobody robs banks in Shelby Township. And I mean nobody. I've been here for 9 years. I think we've had 3 bank robberies in 9 years. So everybody responded. The detectives were, going crazy trying to find this guy or whatever, and then found out through our flat camera system. We've installed 30 cameras. We're the leading in the state of Michigan, 30 cameras around strategically, and they capture license plates, all in strategic areas, especially on 23 Mile Road. So our cameras were able to identify immediately that this guy escaped on a scooter. He robbed the bank on a scooter, okay? I've never heard of this in my 38 years. Well, what he did is he drove 2 blocks down, and then he had a semi-truck, and he loaded his scooter into a semi-truck and took off, okay? Who robs banks with a semi-truck and a scooter? Once again, never heard of. But the good news is, through our flat camera system and our tenacious detectives, within an hour, we were able to identify this guy. Through facial recognition, it turns out he lives in Georgia, and he had a delivery up in Flint. So he decided to come by Shelby and rob the bank. So within 24 hours, we tracked him down, and unfortunately, it had a very sad end. They grabbed him, and it was a big standoff, and he ended up taking his own life. Very, very sorry that it happened. But once again, I warned everybody in the Macomb Daily. I said, look, if you want to come here to Shelby Township, you're going to pay the price, period. No matter where you're from, we're going to track you down. So let me end it with this. There's a nationwide gang that I've been hearing about for years. It's called the Felony Lane Gang. You can Google it if you don't believe me, okay? They're nationwide. The feds, once again, have been tracking these guys all over the United States. They've hit in all 48 states in the union, and what they do, they're an organized gang, and they've stolen millions of dollars of property. What they do is they target daycares and gyms, because what happens in the morning when you go to the daycare, mom leaves her purse in the front seat. They sit there, lie in wait, they run and break the window, grab all the purses, take off, and then that's not what they're looking for. They want the financial information. And they put on wigs and disguises, go in the bank, and they rip the people off that way. And they also do the gyms. Nobody wants their wallet stolen out of a gym or their purse, so what do? You leave it in the car. Well, a lot of people leave it in plain view, so they target these gyms. Well, anyways, once again, I don't understand. 3 people, 2 from Florida, 1 from Georgia, I think another one from Tennessee, there was 4 total, decided they're going to come into Shelby Township and break into cars and grab these purses, right? So we have some young officers. They use this flat camera system from their phone. I don't know how they do it. So 2,500 vehicles crossed by this camera 10 minutes after the purses were stolen out of the car. 4 cars got broken into in the same location. I think it was a daycare, it was very early. So within minutes, our young kids, not even detectives, these are just regular officers, were able to identify a suspect vehicle. They give it to our SIU. SIU starts following the car through flat camera system into Rochester, and they realize they're staying in a bed and breakfast in downtown Rochester. Our surveillance unit sets up on the location all night. These guys are sitting like in the movies, smoking cigarettes, throwing it out, blah, blah, blah. And here comes these people out at 6 in the morning. They go out. Our surveillance unit is all in different cars, watching them. What do they start doing? Breaking into cars, okay? We take them down. We arrest everybody. One of the ladies actually run out of the takedown, got around, and she ran out on 1059. She got hit. Unfortunately, she was killed. The other 3 people we grabbed. We went back to the bed and breakfast. In the garage was loaded with stolen stuff. We grabbed everything. Now, you guys know what I'm going to do, where it's coming next. I tell my DB lieutenant, this has got to go to the feds. The feds want these guys bad, blah, blah, blah. My DB lieutenant laughed at me. Chief, he goes, they don't want nothing to do with this. He goes, they might get to it, blah, blah, blah. So what we did do, we got a 13-count warrant on these guys. Their bonds are $250,000 cash, period. They're all from Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia. And I warned them again, stay out of Shelby Township. So that's our story. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, I remember after that bank robbery, Chief Schley came to me and said, you know, this guy had a perfect plan. The only mistake he made is he tried to execute it in Shelby Township. And you're right. So, yeah, I feel a lot safer with our police department and our fire department. But, you know, there's much more. A full-service township doesn't stop with public safety, as I said before. We got another great story I want you to hear. We talked a little bit about it last year, but I want to hear it again. And that's DPW Director Dave Miller. He is here to talk about how he and his employees have worked with AEW to save our township water rate payers a bundle of money. Dave, come on up. I'll let you explain all that. And while he's coming up, he too is retiring on us. You guys are too young. But anyway, what, 41 years? He's done a great job. Let's give him a hand.
Okay, I was going to start out with the story about 3 pigs, but that already got taken. So I guess I've been told I'm kind of a numbers guy. If this gets a little nerdy, a little deep, you raise your hand, would you, and I'll try to go back to the 3 pigs. So a little bit about the water department. We have about 350 miles of water main and 240 miles of sewer main in the ground. Has anybody seen those? Probably not, and that's the way we like it. We like everything to stay where it's at. We serve about 7.2 million gallons of water a day to about 28,000 homes. Okay, this is a pretty incredible feat, and my hat goes off to my staff who just flawlessly maintains this every day. Back in, who remembers what they were doing in July of 2020? Most of you were probably quarantined to your house from COVID. Either that or we were working from our house. In the first 2 weeks of July 2020, the Shelby Township exceeded their peak demands with their contract with Great Lakes Water Authority. That resulted about 2 months later of them contacting me and said, we need to renegotiate our contract. This isn't good. They said, all right, we're going to have to increase your peak hour demands to the factor that you used in July and add 10% buffer. Again, not good. Final result, it increased to the ratepayers of Shelby Township about $1.8 million. We found this not to be acceptable. We had to do something different. So we said, how can we reduce that peak hour demand? Well, we've asked people to not use so much water, but you got to use so much water. So we had to come up with a different solution. Got together with our engineers, Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick. We said the way to do this is we need to reduce that peak hour, but let's not take it back to where we were. Let's reduce it significantly more. The solution was let's build a water storage and pumping facility. Now, many of you probably have passed this facility, maybe sometimes every day, down on 24 Mile Road by the expressway. And so let me tell you a story about that. We decided at this point that yes, we were going to build a facility. We went to the board. Now again, this is in the middle of COVID. Any suppliers know what the supply chain did during COVID? Okay, we didn't have a piece of property. We were just working on a plan. So Gordy Wilson and I met at Bay Stecker Park. We were looking at a piece of township property to put this facility on. And we said, well, let's take one more look. So at that time, Gordy said, I'll take 24 Mile Road to the west. I took 24 Mile Road to the east. Got over by the expressway. We found a little sign about this big that said property for sale. Perfect. We were able to pick that up. So in April of 2021, the board authorized to purchase the property. Our plans were completed. At the same time, the board said, because of lead time issues, we're going to let you purchase $1.5 million of long lead equipment and material before we even have finalized plans. This is something kind of unheard of. So we did that. We went to EFI, purchased a pump station, got together with DN Tanks, had plans drawn up for a 3.5 million gallon water storage facility. What an incredible feat that was. They poured all these panels right on site. They came in with a crane, set everything up. They said, yeah, we're going to put the roof on this storage facility first before we put the walls on. That was cool. They put the roof up with scaffold, came in behind it, put all the walls up, and then finished everything up. So, okay, everything's going well. We get to the end of, let's see, it was March of 2021. Now, in order for us to prove what we did is effective to Great Lakes Water Authority, we had to run it for a whole season. In doing so, we did this. It went flawlessly. And we reduced our peak hours from about 44 million gallons per day down to 30 million gallons per day. So we got through that season, went into contract negotiations. Great Lakes Water Authority came in and said, yep, you guys did what you said you were going to do. Now we're going to start recalculating those bills. They did. The result was, instead of an increase of $1.8 million per year, we were able to save $3.2 million per year to our ratepayers of Shelby Township. But think of it, that's a swing of $5 million a year forever. It wasn't just for 1 year, for 2 years. It was going on in perpetuity. So we're very proud. I want to give thanks to our team that was collaborated with us, AEW, DN Tanks, EFI, PMR Construction, and I guess I'm done. So it worked out well. Just one further note, we did this during COVID. From the time we bought the property till the time it was put in service was about 14 months. It was a pretty amazing feat. The thing worked out perfectly, and as I said, the rest is history.
Nice job, Dave. And by the way, David's not leaving us. He's coming back as a consultant, so he'll be with us. You did check with your wife on this, right? Yeah. Last time I talked to her, she said no. But anyway, he's working all that out. So there you have it. We have a lot more story. We've got a great story. We've got great stories here in Shelby Township. And if I had more time, we would bring some more people up, but we're running out of time. I just want to say that Shelby Township is expanding and growing in quality of life measures as well. We talked about public safety, and we've talked about finances. And we're committed to making the community a better place to live and to play every day. In 2008, our township library occupied 12,400 square feet of old Disco Elementary School. You know that ugly building on Van Dyke? It's still ugly and it's still there. But on June 25th, 2022, we opened the new 26,400 square foot standalone Shelby Library on our campus. And Katie Esther, our director, is here. Stand up. She did a great job. Oh. She had her boots on, walking around in the mud, and these people from Comcast, they thought they were going to get away from murder, but no, they had to go through her. She did a tremendous, great job with DTE and made sure everything was the way it was supposed to be done. In its first year of operation, this library saw an increase of 40% in patrons served, 35% in materials checked out, and 45% in program participation. And even with this new build and expanded engagement, Shelbytown Library continues to operate without its own dedicated millage and operates with just 1.15 mills from the general fund of Shelby Township. So all this comes out of our general budget, no millage like other communities. I believe we're the only one that operates a standalone library out of a general budget. And that's the number that has not gone up, 9.299. So we're still getting it done within budget. Similarly, our Parks and Recreation and Maintenance Department has expanded services, and as I pointed out, with only 23 people, and additional anemones since 2008. Our senior center is now housed in a new Shelby Township Activity Center at 21 Mile and Hayes Road. This used to be the old Boys and Girls Club, and when it went up for sale, Joe Youngblood was there the morning it went up for sale, and we snatched it up right away. And after he did everything he needed to, a new roof, new tile and painting and everything, we have fully loaded $3.5 million investment. And that's pretty cheap for an activity center. Good job, Joe. Also, additionally, new to our, oh, by the way, John James, Lisa Brown, I know you're here, but John James has given us $1.2 million grant to put in a new gym so our senior citizens can walk around in the wintertime, have a nice track, and also we can have more pickleball courts and basketball courts. So this is going to happen. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, thank you. It's all your money. It's all your money. So additionally, new to, and by the way, I just want to say, Bob Monroe, our superintendent, where are you? Stand up. You do a great job with our schools. Thank you, Bob. And we got an A- on schools, so there's a little room for improvement. You got to make that happen. Okay. Additionally, new to our park since 2008 is Gene Shepherd Park and Splash Pad. That's on 23 Mile Road near DeQuinder, and more than 6,000 feet of sidewalks near Schweitzer Elementary and Macomb Orchard Trail in 2019. And then, of course, I mentioned the 1,500 acres that we have of parks. Additionally, the township introduced the Shelby Township Connector Trail last year, which serves as a local route on statewide Iron Bell Trail. And this pathway gives 4,500 homes and 15,000 residents pedestrian access to the River Bends Park, and gives 7,500 homes and 25,000 residents access to the Iron Bell Trail. All the additions, our parks and recreation infrastructure were done, paid in cash. There's no debt, no borrowing, and most importantly, no increase in tax rates, just like pig number one. So anyway, I keep going back to that story. But anyway, this commitment is evident in our Shelby Township mission statement. And again, all 450 employees every single day come to work with one mission in mind, and that is to meet or exceed your expectations, whether you're a business, whether you're a resident, no matter who you are. If you're here in Shelby Township, that's what we do. And that's how we're put together, because we are a service organization, right side up, and our performers are there for you. Without increasing tax millage. So in short, this is what it means to be a full-service township with sound finances, high quality of life standards, and a strong public safety, second to none. And this is how we remain Macomb County's lowest cost full-service township, and rated 6 years in a row by niche.com as the best community to live in Macomb County. So ladies and gentlemen, it is on this foundation and our Board of Trustees, and I can declare the state of Shelby Township is excellent. Thank you very much. And here are the ones who make it happen, and then I'll sit down, I promise, because I know a lot of you want to take a tour. But if you could please stand up, department heads, as I call your name, and remain standing and hold the applause. Assessing, Matt Schmidt. Building, Tim Wood. Community Relations, Brad Bates. And by the way, Brad, I want to point out the fact that Shelby TV was rated #1 in 3 or 4 states last year. That is incredible. But that was in 2022. In 2023, they are now rated #1 in the country for a government station. Way to go. Oh, 2 years in a row, #1 in the country. Nobody's better. Thank you and your entire staff, and thank all of you in the back. These guys are incredible, and I'll tell you what, I was in the shower this morning coming up with ideas, and I came here and I wanted to switch things up. They said, Rick, you can't do that. You can't just bring speakers up. They made it happen. You guys are great. Thank you very much. DPW Dave Miller, Human Relations Director Lisa Suda. And by the way, Lisa's brought a lot of innovation and creativity. She does not come to the Board of Trustees anymore. We have a Civil Service Commission. They come up with 3 candidates. She picks them. And she does not come to us. She sits down with the department head and they pick them. And it makes things so much faster. Rather than doing this, it used to take longer to hire somebody than to build a new CVS. but that's not the case anymore here in Shelby Township. Okay, so thank you, Lisa. Library Director Katie Esther, please stand. Parks and Recreation and Maintenance Director Joe Youngblood. Director of Planning, Building, and Development, Julie Missage. And I want to say one thing about Julie. We now have, this is a new position. She used to be Director of Planning. Now she's Director of Planning, Building, and Enforcement. And why are we doing that? It's a big, big job. A lot of people are reporting to her, but we used to have silos. She's bringing these silos together and making it a one-stop shop for everybody coming through Township Hall. She's doing a great job on that too, and she's going to have a lot to report out in a couple weeks. Police Department, Chief Robert Chalai, Deputy Supervisor, my right and left hand here, Lindy Odo, please stand. And Franklin Pierce, where are you? Somewhere, and thank you very much. And did I skip anybody? I hope not. Okay, well, thank you for everything you do, and you guys are great. And last, but definitely not least, the people I work with, my fellow trustees, they are a great group. You know, we don't always agree, and I'm often wrong. That's why we have 7 people. But I love them because they just tell it like it is, and we work things out. And sometimes we actually do it right on camera. And we switch positions, we work it out, but we always get to the part we need to get to. And I love working with this crew. First, Vince Viviano, where are you? Please stand. Vince. Okay, so Vince is a great advocate for our major road improvements with the road department, and he's also facilitated a very cohesive relationship with the residents, animal control merits, and this is important, especially removing dead animals from our roadways. We make one call, he gets it done. When there's a chuck hole, we make one call, he gets it done. Thank you very much, Vince. You're great. Lucia DeSico, where are you? Please stand. She's worked so diligently with our Downtown Development Authority, actually made a drone show. We found out we couldn't do fireworks anymore in Shelby Township because we don't have land big enough anymore. When that stuff falls down, you know, everything's built up now in Shelby Township. So she came up with this idea, what about drones? It wasn't just her, it was community relations, downtown development, in parks and recreation. And anyway, we had a great Christmas drone show. Lucia, it was great. And also, there's a 2-day event coming up, Friday, June 28th. There will be tons of kid-friendly events with Touch a Truck and live viewing of the treehouse. And then on Saturday, this is going to be cool, June 29th, there's going to be, and Lucia, if I get this wrong, correct me, a spectacular drone show, not fireworks, but a drone show, and a performance by the Macomb Symphony Orchestra and the Eisenhower Choir. Way to go. Thank you, Lucia. And by the way, she's also a representative on a recycling committee, which is a vital service here in Shelby Township. Jim Carabelli, I know you don't want to stand, but you have to stand. Okay, this guy, laser focus on reining in court budgets. We got a problem. The court's spending way too much money. I'm not blaming anybody here. It's just that they're way over their budget, and we got to rein them in. He's done a great job working with the judge and staff, and we are starting to get those expenses down. He's provided Shelby Township with a seat on SEMCOG Executive Board, and our needs are heard, and our issues are heard, and that's really important because they have a lot of money. And as a treasurer, he's expanded, giving our residents more ways to save money and pay tax bills with more options. Good job, Jim. Thank you. Stan Grote, where are you? Okay, he's got a big job with elections, and it takes a lot of time. But he's also, in his spare time, he doesn't have much of, he's done a lot of great improvements to Heritage Lake. Phase 1 improvements included new docks, fishing, piers, seawalls, pergolas, lighting improvements, and many more things. And just like pig number 1, we didn't do everything at once. We waited for phase 2 so we could pay cash, and now we're installing a new gazebo as well as other improvements right now as we speak. So, in a job as a clerk, he oversees every single piece of paper that comes through our offices of all government meetings and puts together a great staff. He oversees involvement in the 2020 consensus and made sure that we had increased compliance because we know that our money, our funding depends on that. Good job. Thank you, Stan. Okay, I've got some others too, but I lost my notes, Lindy. Oh, I just found them. Lisa Casali. Got a long list here for Lisa too. Please stand, Lisa. She came to her board with a vision. She said that she wanted to make Shelby Township a more walkable and enjoyable community. She said she wanted to increase safety and connect neighborhoods to parks. And she kept her promise. Boy, has she ever. You know, before she came, we used to put away $450,000 a year for sidewalks. And you know how much of it we spent before she came? Probably, that's what, about maybe $3 million? Less than $100,000. It's not the money. It's actually knowing how to do it and connecting. And she formulated a committee, and here's some of the results. 6,000 feet of sidewalks near Schweitzer Elementary School and Macomb Orchard Trail. Wetland crossings on a Shelby Metro bike trail. Shelby Township Connector was introduced, which serves a local route on statewide Iron Bell Trail. This pathway gives about 20,000 residents pedestrian access to river bends, as I mentioned before. And here's a clincher. 35,000 people now can actually walk out of their front door and not use a car. They can walk to one of our parks. That is huge. The walkability in Shelby Township, I know when I came on it was 6, and if it's not 8 by now, I'd be shocked. Lisa, you've done a great job with that committee, and we really, really appreciate it. And there's one more thing she's doing too. She's overseeing our campus master plan, which will improve our campus on 24 in Van Dyke, which will produce more events like Christmas Aglow and what have you. And I will give you assurance that everything we do will be paid in cash as we go along. If we don't have the money, we don't buy it. And as I said, in 2030, when we owe nothing, that board can do what they want. But up until that point, we pay cash. Finally, not finally, but John Vermeulen. John, where are you? John? So with John, we didn't need a building authority as the overseer of improvements to the police department and completion of Shelby Township Library because we had John. He's made very significant projects come on time and on budget. He's done a great job. The police station and library are now pivotal elements to our community, and we couldn't have done it without you, John. Thank you very much for everything. And finally, Rob Huth. I know he's just, no, Rob, you gotta stand. Where's Rob? Rob, where are you? Oh, he's on a call. And that's Rob. So along with Bob Kirk and Ryan Frantuzzi, he's been and continues to be involved in every aspect of Shelby Township because when it comes to problem solving, nobody does it better than him, and he is just great. Their whole law firm, they're doing a fantastic job. And finally, I want to thank the Macomb County Chamber, Kelly, for everything that you do, connecting businesses, and it's just a wonderful chamber, and I know you have worked very hard with our community relations team and especially with Javis here. And thank you again, Jason, for everything. You have been a terrific host. So that's it. I don't have anything more. Time for the tour. Thanks everybody for coming here and making this a lot of fun. We appreciate it. Thank you.